hello. So, so
First of all, are you still celebrating the loss, or are you?
who celebrates the loss, no? Who celebrates the loss? We are out of that shock. Uh, that's fine. So, today we saw another instance of why you should wait for at least one patch. The PDI that we were trying, dynamic translation yesterday, was a upgraded one. Like we went from San Diego to Tokyo on that. The things that we were trying were correct as per the documentation and as per our experience as well. And right after the live stream, we tried the same thing on the fresh Tokyo PDI, and it worked. So listen, learn. Don't run behind early access. Wait for at least one patch, and it's good to stay one release behind.
Indeed. Um, okay. So just a recap then, Dhruv, what we are going to do today.
Um, so it could be it won't be that exploring part. It would be more polished one because we have explored it a lot last night. I haven't changed my clothes as well. That fellow went to office, but I was working from home. So what we're gonna do is, like, first we're gonna have some dynamic translation. So we'll have one notification and probably incident have been commented or something like that. And we have created some test accounts as well, like Dutch user and Chinese user. And Dutch user has his language preferred as obviously Dutch and Chinese as Chinese. So we'll be sending some notifications and see if the translation is done on the fly. And we'll see how we can use machine translation as well. That's another thing that we learned. So it's good to go live and explore. That's how we learn. And proud that we were able to solve the issue. Hopefully it
Yay!
doesn't hopefully it doesn't occur while we are working for our client, like when we upgrade to Tokyo.
Fingers
So
crossed.
yeah.
Okay, then I will start sharing the screen. Quickly, I will again explain some prerequisites which we need for multilingual notification, and that is few plugins. Let's start with few plugins. So the first plugin is the dynamic translation plugin itself. A safe harbor, this plugin needs a subscription, paid subscription, and also an integration of subscription, by the way. So what we did is we activated this plugin, which is dynamic
This
translations,
pack,
or
this pack
the
7 1.
whole pack. Yeah, the advantage of activating the whole pack is it also activates the vendor spokes, which was IBM and Microsoft Azure. And in this demo, we are going to use Microsoft Azure Translation Service. Then the second plugin which we activated was
Glide.
Glide
Okay.
Notification Translation. This is also a prerequisite. Without this, you can't do it. Another prerequisite is we need to add one property.
Don't forget localization plugin. We enable it last.
Indeed. So the localization plugin is really, really, really important. And as per the documentation, we also need to add one more property, and that is this glide notification translation dynamic. It should be marked as true. The type should be true and false because sometimes we forget to do this. We just keep it string and then we type true, which will not work. So these were kind of prerequisites which you need before you actually test this and use this with your client. Great. Anything I forgot, Dhruv? Just to
Setting up
check.
the spoke.
About the prerequisites,
Spoke.
nothing, right? Okay, only the
Spoke.
spoke. Yeah. Um, so for dynamic, once you activate the dynamic translation, you will see these three options. You don't have to touch the properties and language code mapping. The only thing you have to do in the translation configuration is activate the Microsoft one because we are going to use Azure. But if you are using IBM, just do that. And here we activated this. We also said that it should be default for translation, and it should also be default for detection. Uh, the easy way to test this particular configuration is by using a simple action which ServiceNow provided, and that is detect language. I will show you that. But before that, you should configure the credentials and the connection. So here you see we already have configured Microsoft Translation connection. I will just quickly show you the settings, what we have done. So basically, we create this, by the way, comes out of the box. So you don't have to create this, but you do have to create the connection. To do this, I have also already created one video on my YouTube channel, and we also have a proper video on the docs itself to see how to configure this particular part. But just at a high level, you need credentials, which needs for that you
Yep.
need API key
Yep.
from Azure, and this URL is a general URL which you can use, but you can also have specific URLs per region if you want. And just at a high level, you can see we just need a API key credentials, and these keys can be obtained from the Azure part. We are not going to show you the Azure part now, but if you want to really know that, you can visit my channel, see there, as well as on the Microsoft, or as well as on the ServiceNow docs. Once we are done with this, we need to test this if it really works. So for that reason, you just need to go to actions,
I'm crossing my
then say,
fingers.
yeah, this was the place where we terribly failed yesterday.
Come
So
on, it was
once you
not our
open,
fault. We were following the right path, read
but
the
I like,
documentation.
yeah, but I like failures, right? Uh,
I like the learnings from the failures. I don't like failures.
that was my next part. That I like failures so that we can succeed. But yes, here, welcome. This is actually Dutch, and once I run this, it will give us the confidence level, and it will give us, I think the
Also, an
code will
indication
be
that
NL.
should we stop streaming if it doesn't.
Finally, it has worked.
Oh
So
yeah,
you can see the confidence level is 1, code is NL. NL is nothing but Netherlands, and
yeah.
that was the detected language. So we know that the spoke has worked. Just one more thing, if you want to really see that if it is using proper credentials or not, you can. I will. Yeah, here you can see the credentials and the connection which has been used, and the connection alias is here, which means it is using proper credentials, it is doing the translation correctly. Now, let's proceed to the main part of this whole stream, and that is nothing but the email
Notification.
translation. Yeah. What
Yes.
we are going to do is we are going to pick one notification. Uh, okay. What should we use? Should we just use this one then, Dhruv?
Yeah.
Incident commented for ITL. Okay, let's do that and add some extra text now.
How about if you pick up something from Wikipedia or something, to see how translation works.
Okay, let's take some
Summary
email.
of India versus Pakistan. Uh,
Oh,
the
come
results
on.
are out for Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. So that will show
Results
that
results are out for.
Liz Truss, UK president, prime ministership. So Liz Truss have won. Prime minister.
Okay, let's highlights.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, let's. I'm just going to copy this, put it into. Okay, before I do that, there is one more prerequisite, and that is per notification. It is not a global setting, as far as I know. It is per notification, which you
Yeah,
have to do. You have to go to the advanced view, and then we have to tick one box which is called as
enable dynamic translation, something like that.
bang on
So it gives
PI.
you, yeah, that's fine. It gives you uh, a bit of control and granular control kind of thing, granularity. Like if you want to enable something for certain notification, or you just want to enable for the whole, but some cases like don't send this notification, it goes to customer, it should be in proper English, you can't trust
Yeah.
those things, so just ignore those things.
This is something which we already enabled. So just for the listener, because we were
It's
testing
a
few
push
things.
one. It's a push one, I guess.
No, that's we already tested this and it works. So this was enabled by us just for the information for our listeners. We enabled it. Okay. Now I am going to just, so this is what I copied from Google, or let's say the news
Yeah,
channel.
this is not recorded, no, so this news come today only, so
Yeah.
don't believe that we are just playing some video kind of thing.
Okay, it's saving. Till that time, I'm just going to set up an incident. So let's say I will quickly create one incident.
Oh, it's done. Are you gonna trigger the
Um,
notification directly?
yes, so first let's show them how it works.
Yeah.
Right now the notification is in English, and now we want to trigger it. First we will do it in Chinese, and then we will do it in Dutch. So, Dhruv,
I, I raised lots of incidents now. Usually my email password doesn't work.
we are using hardware as a group, and I will be using Chinese user. Let me save this. Now the incident which we have is incident commented for IT ad. So I am going to simply add a comment. Um, test email notifications. Save this. Great. Now let's go to the email logs. I will be patient.
Yeah, it's a PD, I know.
Yeah. So now you can see the email has been triggered, and I have observed this. This is a
Yeah,
new state which is added by ServiceNow, that is send translation ready. Now here, if I do preview note email, it will still show you in English. But if you open this and you have to scroll down, then you will see translated email content, and this is send ready. You can see that because the language of the user was ZH.
I
And
don't
if I
know what's
open
that.
this,
Shit.
and if I preview this, then
But
you
I can
can see
directly
that they,
say it's Chinese for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, this is Chinese, and you can see a note as well that this email is dynamically translated into your language.
We can configure these
So,
banners as well, so that is
yeah,
that you can learn from docs. But yeah, it's working.
so this was for the Chinese user. Let's quickly do it for the Dutch user then. I'm going to quickly move this to a
This one
Dutch
would
user.
be this one would be interesting to see because on the notification, if you go, we have one translated one as well. So I'm
Yeah.
interested to see which one will get the preference.
So what we did is when we were doing some pre-checks and testing, we used this request translation mechanism and a manual translation mechanism to translate this notification. So now let's see whether it uses the translated notification or whether it uses the on-the-fly
On the fly.
translation. Yeah. And my guess is as we have enabled dynamic
Yeah,
translation,
it
it
should
will
it should
use, yeah,
fly one.
yeah. So I'm just going to say test Dutch language and save this. Let's go to emails, and yeah, you can already see that it has triggered. So I will quickly open this, go down, and it says that it has been translated. I'm just going to do a preview. Yeah, it
I
indeed
use the
did the on
dynamic
the
one.
fly translation. Yeah, which
Perfect.
is again an awesome thing to do. Um, so this was about the dynamic enabled enabling the dynamic translation, testing it with Azure service. The second thing which we wanted to show you as part of this stream is actually how this request translation works. So what we do is we click on this. I'm going to use some other language now, Dhruv. So I will use Italian.
Use Swedish. No, I'm wearing Sweden cap, so.
Oh, only for you, I will do it. Okay. Once we do this, you can see successfully requested translations. So here, if you go, it creates a request. You can see it has this number, but actually the translation happens here. By the way, there is one more thing that this can also be automated. And there is one flow in the backend, but it takes some time for us also to configure, so we did not touch it. But this also can be done dynamically. But for now,
And when you translate, you need to set the group, and the group should have the localization fulfiller role,
yeah,
so that those things could be assigned to you, your team. So basically, the idea is like every developer or admin might not be that much confident with the translation. Obviously, I'm not. So they create a task which can be assigned to your translation team or someone who knows that, and then you just assign them. They publish the things similar to what is knowledge article thing. Someone will
did
create
we did we do it under the system localization properties through, or
no, it's if you go on localization framework,
yes, I'm here, and
localization settings,
indeed, and we
and then I just created
yeah,
one. Like I added all the languages and name it Dutch. That I can take as like 9 p.m. thing. But if you open that record, first I enable this machine translation that will show you the UI action and the translator that I'm gonna use. And if you go on workflow preferences, you need to select a fulfiller group, and this group should have localization fulfiller role.
indeed. Okay, so we did that, and then once you open this particular request, you can see it's in open state, and here you see a translate button. When I click on this translate button, it gives you a great UI where you see the English
Exactly.
version on the left. So you see source language is English, and the translation should happen in Swedish. So here, same like knowledge translations, it's like a translation task, right? So also, if you want to translate your knowledge article using dynamic translations manually, again, you have to use this machine translate button. If I click on this, you will now see the magic. It will automatically bring the translated version. And the best part is it is also maintaining the HTML, you see.
Yeah.
So it is not getting rid of it. And then if I publish this translation, it will get automatically added under the related list of that particular notification. So let me go to the history and this notification.
So it should be translation something, the way we were having Dutch thing.
Yep. So when this can be used is you have dynamic translation, but you are very tight on your subscription for translation because this translation services also have some cost associated with it at Azure end. It depends what your organization has,
Yeah.
because what we are using is right now we have 1 million or 1 billion words free to translate. And if you do not want to do the on the fly translation, you can just say this flag as false, and you can do the translation via this. But
Yeah,
again,
this
it's a
this one
hybrid
is.
mechanism.
Yeah, this I think the request translation is better in scenarios, when you know how many language users you have.
Yeah,
But with the remote working culture, I think dynamic translation make more sense because you don't need to worry. Like if you open an office in some other location, remote location where you have different language, then it can go on the fly.
indeed. And if you see now, the translation is added here automatically, right? The Swedish one. And one more thing, what we were discussing, Drew, is let's say if we do not have dynamic translation on this notification, And if you come and edit this notification, let's say if I add some extra text here, you have to do that in all the below
Exactly.
notifications also, which
Yeah.
is more maintenance. But at the same time, I can imagine that if people are tight on the characters or words translation, there, for example, in this case, Azure, if they have to pay more cost for translation, they can do a one-time translation using request translation button, and then just use it in a static way, okay, and then they have to maintain it. That
But
is another use case.
there's one more thing. Like if you go on this one, uh, if you use the static one, the content of this, for example, the notification has short description or something, it's not gonna be translated. So that is gonna
That,
be your static one. But for dynamic, it will get translated as well. So
yeah,
it's a two-way sword. It can harm you as well. You can take benefit out of it.
benefit
It's,
also,
yeah,
indeed. It's totally dependent on,
how
I
you are
think,
seeing
how
it.
you, yeah, how you want to use it. But this was the two things I wanted to show our audience, and I think it was helpful. And again, apologies for the yesterday's thing. Not apologies, but we learned from our mistakes, and uh, we also know the disadvantage of upgrading the instance immediately, because we figured out at the end that the issue was with the KMF engine of that instance, Dhruv,
Yeah,
and it was not encrypting the password or the key properly, and that is the reason it was failing. But as soon as we had a new instance, it worked like a charm.
yeah. Uh, I think we covered it quite nicely and quite swiftly. So there was one thing that I was looking at the LinkedIn environment or ServiceNow community. There is one thing that is quite prevalent. Is about the you know dumps and all of those things. So what do you think
Indeed,
about that?
I think it's spoon feeding. It is creating chaos, and it is also not, I would say, not ethical to do, because dumps. I agree, we have dumps. People will keep sharing it internally, externally, but if you are not learning, if you are not reading and giving the exams, then it is of no use. You will
So
not get stum. You. I think, like we started with this session with failures, right?
yeah,
So if you do not fail, you will never succeed. And I think for me, I always take failure as in a positive way. So if you are afraid of failures, and if you
the
do not
thing
want to
is,
follow a straight path,
what I feel is like it's like it's a drug for me.
indeed,
So if you see like if someone is preparing for admin exam, he uses dumps and he clears that exam, then our brain is trained in that manner that is always going to look for the comfort zone. So when I'm say admin you pass by dumps, when you're going to go for the higher exams like CAD or CIS exam, then your brain would be trained, just search for dumps. And what is
indeed,
going to happen is like you pass the exam, you might put that in your resume or you fake the job interview as well. But when it comes to the client or actual working, your confidence level will be low. Whereas if doesn't matter whether you fail or pass, if you clear by your own, then the confidence level would be much higher. And in this like yeah, it's more of an ethical thing that people should follow. But there are certain things that ServiceNow partners and the ServiceNow can do as well. Like for ServiceNow, they can make the exam a bit harder, or they can use the simulator, right? Simulator for testing.
indeed.
If someone
Yeah,
is clearing all simulators, he doesn't need to cram the you know uh, facts like what states are there. There's no use of that. And ServiceNow partner, and they need to get out of those rat races. To have 5,000 ServiceNow CIS ITSM implementation specialist certifications.
indeed. There are some exams now, for example, CMA CTS, where your knowledge is really tested, and you do not have dumps there.
Yeah, that's what, like
Um,
if you have been, suppose if you would have been in a situation where you have been clearing your exam through dumps only, then when you go for CT or CMS, I know they are a bit costly, but if your organization supports that and you go for them, then you will cry. You will literally cry because it asks for a lot.
yeah, that is what it is. We should also not do it as a service now consultant, and we should also not support it. That is my feeling. But
There's a rat
um,
race, man. There's a rat race among partners. I don't like to name, but I've seen partners. There's a team who manages make sure that your certificates are up to date. They share all the they themselves share those things. That's
true,
horrible.
true, I agree. But anyways,
We are learning. We are growing.
yeah,
I'm happy with that.
and we will keep sharing. That
Yeah.
is what we learned, and we will also always share our knowledge as much as possible. Any last thing about the Mavericks event which is coming up? Do you want to share it with our audience?
Yeah. So there's a great initiative by one of our Mavericks. Basically, ServiceNow Mavericks is a non-official meetup group that we started like 2 years back, and it's not official, but ServiceNow is giving us lots of backing. We got some support from ServiceNow as well. So coming on the event, uh, it's a female women only event, kind of a party thing. So it's being managed, organized, and controlled everything by uh, females only. So the host for the event is one of our Mavericks and developer MVP, Kopal Garg. And the best part is the event is called Women Who Build with AES, and Lauren is presenting. Lauren is the developer advocate. So
Yeah.
I know she is British. Before that, I think she was the product manager for AES. So I can expect good content, and I have a feeling that there are lots of I not a feeling. I know there are lots of female developers with whom I have worked, and they are super awesome, and they are far better than me as a consultant or as a developer as well. But they just need to come on the visibility, and we that's a good step in that direction. Apart from that, there is another one that is coming up. Um, I don't know what we are going to do on that. It's a live stream. So two guys, one of our developer MVPs, Ishan, and one of the uh, quite active member, Harneet, is organizing a live stream on citizen development. So we have been presenting on citizen development. So they asked us to come and speak on citizen development. We'll share our knowledge, but as always, we will go unprepared and undocumented stuff, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, do check out that Maverick one, and if you have any uh, ladies, women, girl whom they should attend. Tomorrow I might write a post as well, so do spread the word. It's happening on Saturday, so not too far.
Great. To end this, Dhruv, thank you for your time. And any uh, any hint on the next session on Tokyo Talks?
I want to go for document intelligence, but no, no. What's the prerequisite for that? I assume there would be some prerequisite, but it's document intelligence is one of the features for Tokyo. My feature for Tokyo that I'm gonna look for as soon as we get out of this week, we'll start exploring that. Apart from that, there is one. I don't know when is the next episode for Latan Vipratan is coming.
Exciting.
Exciting times. Last time you tricked me by bringing my manager. This time I
Yeah,
want your product owner or product manager to be with us,
we'll try.
and I'm not gonna leave you without that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Bye, everyone.